Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Just making sure that I'm live everywhere where I'm supposed to be live at. So I am coming to you all live today to talk about the new travel requirements that have been set forth by the CDC, and am available to answer any questions that anyone may have during this very brief presentation. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Adrienne. I am the owner of Busy Bee Travel Group, and yeah, so I just wanted to come on real quick. It's been a minute. I don't even think that I've gone live yet in the new year, so happy new year to everyone. So just gonna jump right in. So as many people know, if you want to travel during the pandemic, now it is a requirement per the CDC that you get tested in destination. You actually cannot fly back to the United States without producing a negative COVID test. So what does that mean? How much is it going to cost in destination? What happens if you test positive and you have to quarantine where you're at? So, of course, like there are many different destinations, that people could possibly travel to during this time. Instead of focusing just on one particular, hey Janine, one particular destination. Everything that I say is just going to be general. If you have any specific questions about the requirements or about specific destinations or specific resorts, you could type them in the comments below and then I will get back to you. But generally speaking, what we in the travel community have learned since they made this announcement, I will tell you that a lot of the resorts have really stepped up because one, since last year, travel really suffered a tremendous loss. And I'm sure that, other industries have as well, but travel definitely took a hit. And so, all of these destinations, all of the resorts, all of the excursion companies, they are literally in the process of rebuilding. And so if you're going to travel, we want you to be safe. And so the resorts, again, in many destinations have definitely stepped up once this announcement was made. And so they are, in my opinion, trying to make it seamless for those who are traveling and staying at their particular property. So what you can expect, depending on the property that you go to, I could say, most of the properties in Mexico, this is the case. That is where a lot of people seem to be going. So that's why I'm naming Mexico. So if you go to Mexico, if you stay at an all-inclusive resort, 9 times out of 10, that resort is providing free testing on site. If it's not free, it's going to be, the cost will be very minimal. So minimal as in, anywhere between $50 and $100. There are 2 different types of tests that you could take that will meet the requirement as prescribed by the CDC. So one is the antigen test. The other is the PCR test. The antigen test is normally the rapid test. And that is the one that has the minimum cost of, anywhere between $50 and $100 per person. The PCR test is the one that, you would have to go into the lab. They have to process it at the lab. And so that one would be a little bit more costly. But again, most of the all-inclusive resorts in Mexico in particular, those are the resorts that are offering testing free of charge if you stay at their resort. And I should say the first test for free for up to 2 people per room. Now, if you happen to, and I'm sorry, you have to get a test within 72 hours of your return flight. they will arrange all of that for you. From what I've been seeing from my colleagues in the industry who are currently in any given destination, the resorts have been taking care of the scheduling for you. So that means that when you get to the resort, they are going to go ahead and schedule your test for you. They are communicating with you via WhatsApp or some other type of texting feature that they may have at the resort. But generally speaking, when you're in destination, most of them will communicate with you via WhatsApp to stay in touch with you. So I've been seeing testing getting scheduled and the resort confirming your test date and your test time via WhatsApp. Those antigen tests, again, are rapid tests. So you could get your result back either the same day, hours later, or the very next day. Again, that is what I've been seeing from some of my colleagues who are currently traveling. If you happen to test positive, there are one or two things that will happen. If you want to confirm that the test is accurate, you can get another test. But if you request another test, that would be on your dime. Because again, most of the resorts are only covering one test for up to 2 people per room. So if you want to, confirm, if you want to get retested because you don't think the results are accurate, you request another test, but you may have to come out of pocket for that. Now, if it winds up that positive test is in fact positive, most of the resorts are allowing you to quarantine at the same resort. Some of them are not charging anything. Some of them are charging a discounted rate. So again, it really just depends on the resort that you're staying at and what their current policies are. I should also mention that everything that I'm discussing right now is good through the end of March. So March 31st, 2021. So if you're traveling anytime after that, I nor can any of my colleagues in travel, tell you what is going to be the rule, going forward from April and beyond. We would just have to check, your travel dates and, keep up with you in terms of when you're traveling and what that means for you. Let's see. Also, what I think is important, and it's always been important, but it's definitely important now, is that if you plan on traveling right now, during this pandemic, I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to consider purchasing travel protection. Again, I've always suggested it to my clients. It's not something that we can make you get, but it is something that we can highly suggest. And so at this point, I highly suggest it. And here's why as well. Because if you happen to be in destination and you test positive, you have to wind up quarantining at a resort. Some of the resorts are offering free quarantine for up to 14 days. So being that it's up to 14 days, like I've seen a resort that's only offering up to 10 days, right? So after that 10th day, you're going to have to pay for the 11th through the 14th day out of pocket. If you have travel protection, depending on the policy, and you can check with, if I'm your travel consultant, check with me. If it's somebody else, please check with them. But travel protection policies will cover, or should cover, may cover, you want to make sure, may cover the quarantine costs. So with either trip interruption or trip delay, again, check with your travel consultant to make sure that your policy has both of those things. Because if it does, then you will be able to file a claim and get reimbursed. Will you get reimbursed all of your money? I cannot say that with 100% certainty, but you would want to check your travel policy and see how much would be covered should you have to quarantine in destination. Because also what you would have to worry about is the cost of having to change your flight because of quarantine, the cost of transportation, so getting you, from the resort back to the airport once the quarantine period is over with, and things of that nature. So that's all that I came on to say real quick today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them below in the comments. And yeah, so I hope that everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday. I know it's been a long time again since I've gone live, and so much has happened in the world. Since I've gone live. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of this new requirement, especially for those of you who are clients of mine. And, we have already, for those who are active clients of mine, we've already, discussed your options and discussed, how you should go about choosing where you're going to stay, being that these new requirements are in place. And so for those of you who aren't my clients, and I'm just feeling a little bit of time right now. If you're not my client, my suggestion to anyone who is considering traveling is to count the cost of, how much it could possibly run you out of pocket should these things happen. And so for me and for my clients, what we are considering is whatever resort that we're looking at. Are they offering free testing? Are they offering free quarantining? If they're offering free quarantining at the resort, how many days is that going to be? How much is the rate going to be once that free period runs out? What does that mean in terms of how much you're going to have to come out of pocket? Does the travel insurance company that you're buying a policy with, how much are they covering? Is it up to $500? Is it up to $1,000? Like all of these things matter now. They matter before, but they definitely matter now. And so, yeah, I just wanted to come on real quick to talk about that. Thank you, Janine. I appreciate it. And so, yeah, so that's all that I had to say. Um, Trying to think. Yeah, that's it. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Tuesday. As we stay in church, I wasn't going to hold you long. And it's been about 12 minutes. So I'm getting off of here. So y'all have a great day. And I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.